Story time. So I'm about to leave for an appointment when my amazing partner innocently says to me, TBD? Is that supposed to be the subject line? Yeah, I'm on the way out the door to a bodywork appointment, like massage, but with other, modalities, right? And that's what he says to me. And I'm like, what? Like, what? I mean, to be real, I'm pretty sure I blurted out some curse words that YouTube would prefer I, not repeat. You can use your imagination, and go as far as you think I go and just go further, okay? And my heart starts racing, I'm getting hot, my thoughts start going, and I'm like, oh no. And I have to see this for myself. So I quickly drop everything, open my computer, and there it is. Yep. TBD. And no, it's not supposed to be TBD. In fact, I was so excited about the subject line that I had decided on and changed and inserted even cute emojis. It was supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. So there it is. 500 people, maybe you were one of them, saw my mistake. Lovely. And I have an appointment to go to. So it's not just any appointment. It's an appointment that I want to feel really peaceful and calm and enjoy myself. And there's nothing I can do. It's not like when you make a mistake in your text and you can unsend it or edit it now, or delay send in Gmail. No. This has been delivered, So what do? Well, I kiss my partner goodbye and I excuse myself. I jump in the car, I shoot my business bestie a text for some consolation, and I start making my way down the road. And I'm talking to myself and nurturing and mothering myself all the way there. And about 40 minutes later, as I'm arriving into to my appointment, a friend of mine texts me. I'm so thankful that the universe compelled her to text me because she had no idea what was going on my end of things. And she says, hey girl, I'm really liking your latest stuff. And I'm like, oh, thank you for this text because I'm having a real hard time, not sure if you noticed. And she's like, it's awesome. In fact, it made me even more curious about what was inside. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't have asked for better timing on her part, right? So then I pull in, I go inside, and my body worker is an amazing friend and also knows the ins and outs of marketing and self-promotion. And I'm like, OMG, you would not believe what I just did. He's like, basically yeah, I mean, we've all been there and it's okay and you're okay. And we're going to start face down. Hi, hello, aloha. I am Heather Patterson and I'm a human and I make mistakes and I live to tell about them. Among other things, I'm also a coach and mentor, creator, YouTuber here on this channel. I talk about all things life and business and how to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And inevitably, you will make mistakes just like me. So if you are new here, hi, nice to meet you. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back. Either way, if you're watching, I hope that you will subscribe so that you won't miss out on future videos. So for the record, I had an amazing bodywork session that day. And, life has since gone on, right? Like I said, I lived to tell about it. Now, was that my first mistake? Definitely not. Will it be my last? Most certainly not, right? And when I think about this, I mean, it was like, by the time I was like rolling up to that appointment, right? It was like, well, this is going to turn into a video, and that's what I do, right? Like, I do like to use my life as a bit of a case study for you. So when I think about this and I think about this event, one thing that I really noticed and I'm really focused on is progress. So let me tell you what I mean. Rewind like 3 to 5 years, and a mistake like that would have for sure brought me to my knees. Like, I would have been crying and possibly even like near hyperventilation, and just completely mortified. Rewind even further, probably 10, 15 years ago. Like, not proud. And just for comparison's sake, I probably would have thrown something and for sure screamed and yelled and found a way to blame whoever was in my nearest sights, in this case, my partner. So needless to say, knowing what the past would have been like and what I experienced in this most recent moment, celebrating some progress for sure. And like, it's also fair to say that there's still some progress to be made. And why do I say that? Well, like, I'm not like, certainly don't want you to think I'm getting down on myself. And one thing that I noticed was the overwhelm of like panic and racing thoughts, embarrassment, like fear of judgment, even from my partner, who does not behave in a way for me to be fearful of that, right? Like, it was out of proportion, right? What happened and my reaction, right? So that's an indicator to me of like, okay, I still got some work to do, right? And so if you were inside my head, some of the things that you would in that moment here and probably regularly hear is like, it's got to be perfect. Oh my gosh, like, I've got to be right. Like, I want to be liked and respected. And like, is it good enough? Like, all of that is running. Those are some of my primary like programs and paradigms that run me. And so when those are challenged and boom, like a mistake magnifies my imperfections and not being right or good enough or perfect, whoo, man, like, that can really throw me and my nervous system into like a tizzy. And so, yes, am I happy about my progress? Hell yeah, I'm happy about that. And there's some work to be done still yet for me, right? And so I always like to make that clear in these conversations is, yes, I'm a coach, and yes, I support people and helping them, close their gaps and move through their stuff. And also, like, I'm a student just like you are. When I was thinking about sharing this story, like, for sure the story is funny and entertaining and like, oh my gosh, right? But I wanted to like really like kind of dissect, like, how is it that I went from 10 or 15 years ago, like, to having an explosion, and 3 to 5 years having a little less, like, explosiveness, but more like just pain, to now going like, oh damn, like, that sucks. Like, I'm not happy about it. I haven't just brushed it aside and ignored it and been ignorant to the mistake. There are definitely some systems and things that I need to put into place also to avoid a mistake like that. But the way that it impacted me so little relative to what was, like, I think that that's worth looking at and dissecting. And so I did just that. I thought about it and kind of put my notes together to share with you. And like, look, I wish, as someone who has a framework of her own, right, that I could give you like 3 steps or 5 steps to making mistakes, better and easier and like without so much pain and drama and commotion. And like, it's not that simple. Like, at least for me, my path was not 3 steps or 5 steps. It was not linear. There was some of this and over there and right? And that's what growth can be sometimes. So, in the next little bit here, I'm going to share what my thoughts were that came up. These are, some of them are pretty simple and some of them are a little complex. So I'll elaborate a little bit more. And my hope is that you'll listen with an ear of, oh, like, am I practicing that? And also, like, if it's not new to you, could it be a reminder? Could you use it going forward, right? I'm gonna just like rattle off what came up for me and like see what sticks out for you. Okay, so number one is just really getting in touch and in tune with who I am really, like in the most simplest form. And what I mean by that is that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, right? I am a child of God. I am divine just by my very nature. And so when I can settle into that, and it took some time for me to even realize that like that was the truth, right? When I can settle into that, it's like everything else is just noise. It just fades away, right? And that's been really, really helpful. Okay, the second one is being really conscious about the programs and the paradigms, meaning like what is the narrative? What are the voices in my head saying in those moments? And not so much about what are they saying, right? But where are they coming from? What is this? And is it really working? Like, is that what I want? And the kicker here, the key is, and consciously like choosing what it is that I want, that I need, right? And to be most effective and to get the results that I want. So, is I'm not good enough, for example, useful and effective for me to think? I mean, to some degree, yes, because there's an element of humility. It creates a willingness and an openness to grow and learn, yet it can also very much hold me back. And so I have to recognize when that thing is running me and acknowledge and go, no, like I am good enough. I can, proceed and go forward exactly how I am, right? But really understanding what's driving those actions, that fear, that doubt, that worry, that embarrassment, that shame, whatever it might be, kind of understanding where that originates. And it's not just about understanding, it's about doing something about it, right? So being conscious of what is it that I want to feel? What are the programs and paradigms that I want to have embedded in my mind and in my body and my spirit so that I will get the results that I want? So this next one is just like, it's really simple and just understanding like perfection isn't real. It's like pursuing perfection is real. And it's a real pain in the ass. Like, it doesn't happen. There will always be something else to tweak and adjust. And, perfection just isn't real. And so settling into that, looking around and seeing evidence of that everywhere. And what I think is especially interesting, going back to point number one, is like, look around. Like God makes things imperfect all the time. They're perfectly imperfect. That's the point. Okay, so another one that came up for me in dissecting this scenario and like what has contributed to, the time and the nature of my response, my reaction, is really like this commitment to love myself regardless of how I'm performing. So for a very long time in my world, and maybe this will resonate with you, it was all about performance, right? Like from a very young age, getting homework done, getting good grades, scoring in sports, making this team or that team, or awards, or perfect attendance. I mean, you name it, right? It was all about performance. And I was like good, right? If I was performing, and I was loved if I was performing. And so fast forward, like that, especially in pursuit of something like what I'm doing now, building this business and putting myself out there, like, ooh, like that's a crazy measure, right? And so now something that I say to myself regularly, right, to help me in this way is I only care what I think of me. And you might hear that and go like, damn, like that, you don't care what anybody thinks. No, actually, the truth is I care what everybody thinks to the extent that it gets in my way. And so I'm training myself to really just connect with, what do you think of you? Are you proud about, with how you are, how you're responding, how you're moving about in your world? And if so, great. And if not, like, what adjustments do you need to make? So in that moment, it was like, all right, well, what do I think of me? I think that I'm a human and I made a mistake and it's okay. Actually, the meat of that email was really good. And maybe it did work in my favor. More people opened it. In fact, the data says that it did. It was effective. But nonetheless, that commitment to loving myself regardless of how many gold stars I'm getting in life. All right, the next one is so important because coming from a place of performance, right? Now I've learned over the years, and this is by way of, and you've probably heard of her, Brene Brown. She is amazing, talking about perfection and imperfection and also shame and guilt. And, that when we have people in our world that we can trust, that we can express what's happening for us, and it will alleviate some of that, some of those feelings that come up. And so for me, this one is all about sharing with people that I trust. One of the things that I mentioned is that morning I left my home and I jumped into the car and I texted my business bestie. Now you might be wondering, wait, why didn't she talk with her partner about that? Well, my partner is amazing, and also he is not in the thick of it, right? That's not part of his regimen and routine, and love him. And he also wants to solve everything. That was not the time for me to be solving anything. I just needed to be processing, and I wasn't going to subject him to processing me. That's also not his job. So sharing what I was going through with somebody who has been through it, is in the ring, as Brene says, was for me an option that I wanted to exercise versus going another route, right? And then like I said, thank goodness the universe jumped in and intervened and was like, let me connect you with another friend who you didn't even know you needed in this moment. And, I opened up to her, and that really allowed that embarrassment and shame of oh my God, I made a mistake, to just sort of lift and dissipate. Another one, and I've probably covered this a little bit already, but it's in my notes that I made because I do prepare for you. Is focusing on how I want to feel, right? Part of me only caring about what I think of me is about understanding, how I'm moving about in my day to day, and how I'm, choosing how I want to feel and what it is that I want to experience. So that day, like I mentioned, it was a Saturday morning. It was a pretty chill morning. I had already had a coaching appointment with my coach. We cover some, heavy stuff, right? And so I'm like, whew, okay, that was good. Now I'm going to move into my bodywork appointment. I want to have rejuvenation, rest, moving some energy and stuff through my body. I needed to be in the proper headspace. So to dwell on the mistake wasn't going to allow me to have this other thing. Right? I needed to have a blank canvas to go rest, rejuvenation, restoration. That's what I'm going to experience no matter what. And, my belief is my focus and my will, my ability to zero in on that and shut everything out was helpful in that moment. Did I come back to it later? For sure, I did. But I just needed to, kind of block it out really and focus on the present moment. And lastly, I mentioned on my drive from my house to my appointment that I was mothering and nurturing myself, as I'm driving there. And one of the things that was really helpful and continues to be helpful in just my overall temperament and attitude, my way of thinking, is gratitude. So driving and just going, okay, I'm so grateful that I have 500 people who are willing to get an email from me on a regular basis, right? That's awesome. And I'm so grateful that I have this vehicle that gets me safely from A to B. And I'm so grateful that I have my business bestie that I can text. And I'm so grateful that my honey wants to be on the email list. Like, you know, how many people do you know that their partner's completely out of touch? I mean, you know, there was so much to be grateful for still in that moment. So what I want you to know is, and consider is, when you are practicing gratitude, that is what's going to consume your thoughts. And you're not able to like hold thoughts of fear and doubt and worry and shame and embarrassment and all the other crap when you've created a space of gratitude. And so that's exactly what I did in that moment as well. So like I said, it's not like a super clean, like do this and then that and then this. And even my list, like I'm sure it's not exhaustive. One of the things that I'm committed to you in creating these videos, especially when it's like from my own experience in these situations like this, is to just like give you like almost stream of consciousness, right? Of like what came up for me. I feel like that's way more practical than like being robotic about this sort of thing. It's just not how growth and goal achievement and transforming your mind and transforming your results really works. It can be kind of messy and non-linear. All of this said, you know, this stuff, it has to be, and I stress this almost every time, like you have to take some action as a result, right? And so what do I mean? How could you use this going forward in your life? Well, number one, you know, if you are in any chance, any way hesitating with something, maybe it's in life, maybe it's in business, maybe it's with family and friends, maybe it's even in pursuit of having fun and some recreation in your world, travel, adventure, whatever, right? But you're hesitating because you're fearful of making a mistake. I want you to go back and listen to this message and just really soak it in and set yourself up. Make a commitment to yourself around, you know, that it's okay to be imperfect, or that you're gonna have a girlfriend or guy friend or friend, whatever, doesn't matter, right? That you can call in the event that, you know, the worst, you know, happened. But, you know, really go back and like listen and go, okay, what can I take and adopt from this? And second, maybe you're not hesitating, but maybe this resonated with you from a place of like, oh yeah, like when I make a mistake, I dread it. It's the worst. Like I cry or yell or scream or run and hide, whatever it might be. Again, go listen from that place. And consider, what can you do? What could you be doing now and tomorrow and the next day to like prime your mind for making mistakes, so when it happens, like you're ready and equipped? And you know, what could you save this video and save it for later, so when it does come up, you got me, like I'm here with you going, hey, it's okay. You're okay. Right? All right, well, as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching if you have made it this far. And, you know, take care. Be well. Until next time.